Thursday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Clouds, showers, and thunderstorms today, tonight, and Wednesday. There might be some isolated flooding, and there might be a stray severe thunderstorm. High temperatures only around 40 today. You'll be down into the mid to upper 30s tonight and low 50s tomorrow. Then it looks like Thursday will have mostly cloudy skies near 50 with a chance of a few showers. Your life, your music, we're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Fashion designer Karl Lagerfeld has died at the age of 85. United States Senator Bernie Sanders is running for president again. The Indian Army says it has wiped out the leadership in the Kashmir Valley of the militant group behind last week's deadly attack in the region. And around 80 graves have been vandalised at a Jewish cemetery in eastern France ahead of a nationwide march against anti-Semitism.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday to you. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. My special guest today is Miss Pamela, or Miss Pamela Smith, and she is the creator, founder of Arky's World, which is in honor of her son. And we'll get more into that story, but I want to give you some intro to Miss Pamela. Right? Pamela Smith is an Arkansas native, raised in a small town of Gosnell, Arkansas. She has built her life around serving God and helping others. She's a wife, mother, daughter, and friend to many. She has become a mentor, role model, grief supporter, evangelist, entrepreneur, and business owner. Pamela is the CEO, founder, and president of the notable nonprofit organization Arky's World, which was started amid her son's death to gun violence. She is the owner and founder of Arky's Spoken Sense, the candle company with the spoken word. Her colors purple represent royalty, wisdom, creativity, dignity, and power. Orange represents her fight to raise gun violence awareness and to let the world know. #Life Matters. Amen.
Amen.
And now I want to give you a little more insight into Arky's World. If you ever see her around or see her products, please support. We're non-commercial, so I can't tell you what to do. However, the products she sells, the funds raised from the products she sells goes back into her foundation. And we'll get into that a little bit more. All right, so the mission statement for Arky's World: love that connects the soul, helping grieving parents who have lost a child to violence find comfort, peace, strength, healing, and support through Christ, counsel, love, and friendship. Pamela's mission for kids and teens is to give them a safe place to go and a better quality of life through mentoring, tutoring, and increasing their knowledge and education. All right. And the scripture that's associated with this is, "For I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me." Philippians 4:13. Yes. All right. Thank you. So
Thank you.
Let's get into all about you. And unfortunately, it is sad. It's horrible when someone loses their child to senseless gun violence, or lose their child, period. But, when it's violence related, it affects you. And I haven't lost my child, but I would like to think it affects you in a different way than if it was an illness.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about the story behind what happened to your child.
Yes. Okay. So good morning, and thanks for having me. It was December the 7th,
Okay.
2013. Cortez was 18 years old.
Okay.
And on that morning, I had just had a conversation with Cortez, just ironically involving Christ and his relationship with God.
Okay.
And so we had that conversation, and later that evening, Cortez had met up with some friends and also some associates that were supposed to be friends. And they got into an argument over $50. And that argument ended in, and this happened in Cleveland, Ohio. And that argument ended in Cortez getting shot 7 times. And ultimately, he lost his life. So, as you said, yes, it was life-changing to just, think about you were just earlier that day having a conversation with your child. And then even later on that day, fussing at your child, because I was fussing at him because he was supposed to be at home. We were decorating for Christmas, and we always decorated for Christmas as a family. Okay. And he was supposed to be at home, and he wasn't at home. So when I talked to him on the phone, of course, as a mother, I was going off, fussing. You're supposed to be here, and this, that, and the other. And then when I got the phone call, probably I normally do not answer calls that aren't saved. Okay. And I looked at the phone, and it just kept ringing, and I was in my bedroom. I was getting dressed for something. Okay. And I looked at the phone again, and then something just said answer it. And when I answered the call, it was, from the hospital saying that your son had been shot. Never in a million years did I think that he was gone, because I just immediately said, what hospital? Cleveland has several hospitals. Okay. I said, what hospital is he at? I'm on my way. Okay. And I hung up. So at that point, they didn't have the opportunity to give me any details. So I went and picked up a friend, and we went to the hospital. And that room, when you get to the hospital, that room, I will never forget, because they did not allow me to go directly to my son. They sent me to a room. And that room is the room that they take you to give you the bad news. So I always remember, and it goes back to any time I have to go to the hospital, I always say that room. That, if they take us to that room, it's not going to be good. Okay. And in that room is when they gave me the bad news, letting me know that Cortez that they had done all that they could do. And it was just a numbness, because again, I couldn't, my friend was with me, and she had fallen out crying, and I was just like, get up. What are you doing? And then it hit me, and I just replayed it through my mind, the doctor telling me, that they had done all that they could do. And you don't have the time to prepare. Like you said, if it was an illness, you don't have that time to say, okay, Lord, let your will be done. You don't have time to go into that prayer mode. At that moment, it's just an immediate pain like no other. And I said, we often say our heart has been broken. Your heart hasn't been, you haven't felt the heartbreak until you feel the heartbreak of losing a child.
Goodness. Wow. Thank you. I want to say good morning to several people who offered some comments. Mrs. Shanquetta Cunningham. Yes. Good morning, Chelsea Chapman. And Shanquetta says hello. I commend you for keeping your son's legacy alive through great work. I want to say good morning to Nate Smith. So godly, proud of you, Pamela Smith.
That's my husband.
Oh, good morning, sir. All right, thank you so much for and I'm sure he's been a wonderful support to you through this process as well.
He has. Nate and I have just celebrated our 3rd year marriage anniversary. He has been a great support, and he's not the biological father of Cortez or my children, but he has definitely been that father figure in many ways than one. So I thank him for that.
Thank you. And so after your son's passing, how long did it take you to, again, I've never suffered a loss like that, so forgive me for not understanding. How long did it take you to find a place, a time where you can operate on a regular schedule again?
Immediately I knew that I was going to do something in honor of his name. Even within a few days, I said, my words were, they took his life, but they're not going to take his name. So I immediately said that I was going to push forward. And Cortez wanted to be a rapper.
Okay.
He was in college. He was going to school for production and music of the arts, and he always said, "Mom, I'm going to be famous. My name is going to be worldwide." And his nickname was Arky. They called him Arky because we were in Cleveland and we were from Arkansas.
Okay.
So that's where the name Arky came from. And even when I got his, we had a candlelight visual, and the guy that designed the shirts, he put a globe. He didn't even know, and that's how I know God works in mysterious ways. There was a world globe on the shirt, and it said Arky's World. And I said, that's it, and that's where Arky's World came from. And so even, and then of course, so that was 2013. 2014 is when I went on to the Secretary of State. I moved back to Arkansas because I buried them here in Arkansas. And I registered the name because I didn't want anyone else to take it. So I wanted to secure that. And, but even before then, I just remembered having a conversation with God, and I said, God, my parents raised me in church, and in Cleveland, I had no family. So I remember laying in the bed, and I remember saying, Lord, you are going to have to help me. You said you will not leave me, so I need you. I need you in order for me to make it, in order for me to remain sane for my children. I'm going to need you to step in. And I just remember feeling the comfort of Jesus wrapping his arms around me as I laid in the bed by myself, crying. And I could literally feel him rocking me as though I was a baby. And so that gave me energy and peace that I knew if nobody else was there for me, God had my back. And although it still took me a little while to get going with Arky's World, because I'd have my down moments, and every time I'd start to work on it, I'd get upset, and it got pushed to the back burner a lot. But I still said, I'm gonna do it. Arky's World is going to move forward.
Amen. And so once you got, found yourself in a place where you can move forward, what were some of the first events maybe you held, or some of the first speaking discussions that you held, and what was your platform for your going forward with your message?
The first events that I've held is the balloon release. I've had a balloon release annually every year in June. Cortez's birthday is in June, as well as that's Gun Violence Awareness Month, which is where the orange comes from. So June is Gun Violence Awareness Month. So it's not always on the same day in June. It's normally somewhere around the beginning. Cortez's birthday is June the 4th, so I kind of have it around there. And I've always wanted it to be a big community-wide balloon release. However, it's generally been just the family for the last few years, hoping to make that a change. Last year we held our first annual Founders Day event, where I invite other parents. I reach out to other mothers and fathers that have lost a child to violence, and invite them out, and it's a free event, and I honor their strength. Don't honor them, because it's not an honor to lose a child, but their strength. I honor their strength by giving them a plaque with their child's name on it. This year will be something different, and then that's where I would speak, and give my story, as well as try to encourage, to let them know that you can move on. And the most important thing is that our children are gone, and they no longer can build a legacy for themselves. So it's up to us to build their legacy and to keep their name alive. And that's why I continue to build on. They took their life, but they can't take their name. So it's up to us as the parents and as the ones that are left to mourn and to grieve, to continue to let the world know who they were, because the world will paint such an evil picture. So many pictures went out that I did not even know that my son was involved in, from drugs to guns to all of that. I'm not ashamed of it. It is that life that kids live that they hide from their parents. And people will try to paint, when you lose a child, they will try to paint a picture as though it's your child's fault. He deserved.
And how many times have we seen that? And not to hash up the past, but when thing when cases made the national news, and I won't go into the long list because it's too many to name.
Right.
The first images they tried to paint, one in particular, the young man in Ferguson, he was either on his way to college or whatever the situation was, they still tried to again paint him in such a horrible light, and so many others. And that's not the narrative that should be out there. Why is that narrative always shown versus here's what they could have been? Yes, they were caught up in that was just one aspect of their lifestyle. Right. This not their total being.
That's right.
And not what they could have been.
That's right.
So
yes, and I asked the same question. Why do we try to pull up the negative of what that person did? Because they lost their life. They're the victim, but a lot of times we make them out to be as though they are the criminal.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's totally not fair. So I try to. He said he wanted his name to be famous, and he wanted it to be famous in the rap arena.
Okay.
And I'm making his name famous in another sense. So I strive to turn something that was so devastating into something that was good. The Bible tells us that all things works out for the good of those that love him. So this had to turn around for the good.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you, Shanquetta. His name is Mike Brown. I just want to I didn't want to missay it.
Yes.
So thank you so much. All right, so when you go out to talk about gun violence, what is the age group that you target, or is there a limit to the age group?
There is no limit, because anyone that's strong enough to pick up a gun and pull the trigger needs to know. My saying around that is think before you shoot.
Okay.
Lives matters. And we have to think, and what goes behind that is you have to think before you shoot. Yes, there are times where you may have to defend yourself or defend your family, but think about those that you're leaving behind when you are taking someone else's life just because they owe you $50 or just because you don't like what they said or you don't like what they have on. A simple argument. There should be another way. There is another way that you can resolve that issue without having to turn to gun violence. Put the gun down and let's talk about it. Let's talk about it woman to woman, man to man, boy to girl, however that may be, because when that person is gone, that person is gone. But you've got cousins, moms, dads, aunts, uncles that are left to grieve because you simply did not think before you shot that gun.
Yes, ma'am. I want to say good morning to Miss Ashanti Bogan, and you should be in class, young lady. And Miss Shanquetta says, Trayvon Martin, I'm so glad you made that point. It is so important to protect our black youth in life and beyond. Amazing.
Yes.
And want to say good morning to Miss Tanisha Collins. She in class too, ma'am.
Good morning, Queen.
Tanisha says, so proud of you, Queen. Your why is such an amazing testimony that I know for a fact inspires myself and many others. Thank you for sharing pieces of yourself with all of us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. And so when you go out and talk to these various groups, what has been the feedback or the response that you've gotten? Do you often get pulled to the side for one-on-one conversations with some of the younger people? And have they opened up about maybe some things they've faced that they haven't talked to their parents about?
To be honest, no.
Okay.
They do not. I think our African American community, the young community, let me say that, because now it's not even just African American. There's all walks of life. The youth are still afraid to speak. They're afraid that if I say something, oh, is she real? Is this a setup? Okay. They still have this no snitch policy that they're afraid to open up. I can't tell that somebody is bullying me, or I'm afraid because you're not going to be there when they come back to jump on me.
Yes. So
I actually get a lot of my feedback from parents that have already lost. In the beginning, I wanted to really tackle and end. I want to end gun violence.
Okay.
But then I realized that that's so big that I can only bring the awareness. and be there for those that are going through the same thing I'm going through. So even with that, I will tell you, last week, my group, we found out that I believe there was 4 deaths in Blytheville, Osceola area.
Okay.
And we have had such a hard time contacting those parents that have lost a child here recently. Simply because, again, it's new. So a lot of times they're not sure who you are and if you're part of what happened. Yeah. So I understand that wall's up. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer for us because I like to send out a letter. I like to explain to them who Arky's World is, who I am. Okay. I also send them a memorial piece that I make myself, either a memorial candle or a memorial plaque that they can have to cherish for their child. But I can if I don't have the names and addresses. Okay. And you see it on Facebook, but then when people shut down, when you start asking questions, well, who are they? Well, what's their address? Well, what's their parents' name? So anyone out there that's listening today, if you know someone that has lost a child here recently, please give them my information or just vouch for me that Pamela Smith is legit. Arky's World is a real foundation, and they can look us up. Our website is arkysworld.org, and you can also look us up on the Arkansas Secretary of State.
And I'll put your your website address. Ooh, that's wrong. Okay, so www.arkysworld.org.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to get ready to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about, reaching out to parents, holding, I'm going to call them seminar sessions for grieving parents, and just what else you might have in store for grieving parents and those in the community. So we'll be right back. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Men, want to have a better relationship with your wife? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Every couple will face difficulty and disagreements. One of the best remedies for marriage conflict is marriage communication. Asking great questions and listening to your wife's answers is so important to having a better relationship. So here are 10 questions to ask your wife every year. First, ask, what do you think is going right in our relationship? Positive affirmation will encourage both you and your spouse. Next, ask, where would you like our relationship to be this time next year? There's always room for improvement, so be honest in sharing how you both want your relationship to grow. For more questions to ask your wife each year, check out allprodad.com. Remember, your family first.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a non-profit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Experience the joy with Bishop Adrian R. Rogers, pastor of Fullness of Joy Church, 2120 Thorn Street, Jonesboro, Arkansas, 72401. Wednesday night, Word and Worship, 7 p.m. Prayer Thursday night at 7 p.m. Sunday School, 9:30 a.m. Sunday morning worship, 11 o'clock a.m. And our Sunday night live service at 7 p.m.
From the KLEK Community Calendar, the JHDC Volunteer Council will be hosting the Be Your Own Beautiful Gala March 8th, 2019 at 6 p.m. The gala will be held at St. Bernard's Auditorium, 505 East Washington Avenue, and will feature a silent auction, fashion show, door prizes, and entertainment. More information about this event, including ticket prices, is available via Cynthia Wilson at cynthia.wilson@dhs.arkansas.gov or 870-929-5800. 932-4043, extension 283.
KLEK 102.5 FM wants to be active in the community. If you or your organization is hosting a community service event, we would like to know about it and be a part of it. KLEK will promote your event on air, online, and on social media. KLEK personalities may also attend the event and provide music and or entertainment. Certain restrictions and availability may apply. If you or your organization would like to partner with KLEK to make the Jonesboro community a better place, call 870-277-1080 or email us at klek@klekfm.org. In order for a community announcement or church announcement to be aired on KLEK 102.5 FM, we ask that the announcement be sent at minimum 1 week in advance. Thank you for supporting KLEK 102.5 FM.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. My special guest today is Miss Pamela Smith, the CEO, founder of Arky's World, in honor of her son Cortez, who was taken away due to gun violence. And now she's on a mission to help other grieving parents and communities and spread awareness about gun violence in general. And so let's talk a little bit more about some other things that you've tried to accomplish or have accomplished through your mission. Last year, 2017, between 2017 and 2018, there seemed to be more news of school gun violence. And there was all this talk about legislation, and several students from the Florida school took to the streets basically and took to Washington to raise awareness and say, okay, let's make some changes, some real changes. And I know before the height of social media, I'm sure there were people behind the scenes already trying to do things, but now with everyone having a camera phone, we now have privilege to more things. So what have been some of the other things that you tried to do or have accomplished on this journey?
Getting into the schools is very, very important.
Okay.
Speaking to especially our young black male community, simply just sharing my story, and I kind of put it in the perspective of don't allow your mother to go through what I have gone through.
Okay.
And don't allow your mother to go through what the mother of the young men that took my son's life has gone through. Because I remember sitting in that courtroom, and although I was angry and I was hurt, that mother was hurt too. And I remember seeing those two mothers actually bawling their eyes out because their children had committed this crime and they were being sent away. Although I would have loved to have switched places with them at that time, because I'd rather visit my son behind bars than visit him
in a graveyard.
In the graveyard, visit his tombstone. So I'd really try to put that in perspective of imagine what your mother would feel like. Imagine how that would feel. And because the reason why I say it's very important to reach out to our black males, because it seems as though the black males have this standard of, you ain't gonna punk me, and I can't look like a sissy.
Yes.
But in reality, a real man can walk away. It takes a real man to be able to walk away. Anybody can pull a trigger.
Yes, ma'am.
The scariest, wimpiest person can pull a trigger, but a real man can bring peace.
Amen.
And if you really want to make a difference, if you really want someone to say something good about you, make peace in spite of that situation that could have went another way, because you'll confuse the enemy. The enemy is that person that's looking at you, as well as ultimately the enemy of Satan. And once you confuse the enemy, they no longer know how to take you.
Wow.
They no longer know how to approach you, because they're used to you popping off. As you know, what the young people say, they're used to your temper. They're used to that rage. But when you can calm down and you say, hey man, it ain't got to go down like this.
I get crazy looks because I'm that peaceful person. I'm that let's hold hands and work it out kind of person. And people are like, Kabila, you're too soft, you're too, whatever. I'm like, there's always a better way to handle things. And I try to inspire the kids that I talk to, be secure enough in who you are to let people talk. Let them talk, because that's only going to last a little while.
Yes.
But you'll walk away with your life, your dignity, and whatever else intact. So
yes, absolutely.
I'm going to continue my peace talk.
That's right.
So thank you. Thank you for giving me confirmation that I'm not loony or crazy.
No, absolutely not. Peace goes a long, long way. That violent act is only going to last for a moment. But when you really make a stamp and you really put your name on it, when you can walk away and you can be that peaceful person. And like I say, it's so hard for our community to understand that.
Yes, ma'am. I want to ask, going back to the moment in court, did you feel any, I know you said that, you were hurting along with the other parents that were hurting, but when the conviction came down, maybe the sentencing came down, did you feel any relief, peace? Like, what did you feel in that moment?
For me to be honest,
yes, please.
I didn't feel any relief.
Okay.
At that moment, I was angry. The guy that actually pulled the trigger that killed my son was only 15.
Oh, no.
He received juvenile life, so that was 6 years. Juvenile life is until you reach the age of 21. He will be getting out this year in December. The other guy that was with him, there was actually 5, but only 2 got sentenced. The other guy that was with him only received 3 years. So it was almost like, at that moment, it was a slap in the face. And that's why I did turn to those parents and say, when I was given an opportunity to speak, is that you'll see your son real soon. Real soon. I'll trade places with you at any day. I'm just going to be honest, I didn't have remorse for their tears. It wasn't until later on when I realized that was a hurting parent. Just this fact to see their child go off, or even to have to go through normal day-to-day life with other people of whatever they were saying to them, and some of the threats that came to them from some of Cortez's friends. They had to endure that while their child was away and locked away. So, but no, I didn't feel any relief. I felt as though it was another death. I felt like I had gotten, I was reliving it all over again. It was a slap in the face. To me, I felt like, I don't care if you are 15 years old, you are old enough. I felt like he should have gotten life at that moment.
Okay.
At that moment. but God.
But God.
But then I had in my talk, let's say my come to Jesus moment. And I had to forgive, and I have forgiven the guys.
Okay.
And I had to realize, and I actually pray for them.
Okay.
I pray that during his time that he served, his short 6 years, that he's had a change of life.
Okay.
He's had a change of heart, that he will get out and he will speak to other teenage boys or the youth or whoever, and he'll become a walking testimony, and he'll say, don't do what I did. Don't put another parent through what I put a parent through. If I could have gone back to December of 2013, I would have handled that situation differently. I hope that's the turnaround that he's made in his life.
Because thinking of the time that he spent in prison or in juvenile facility, he could have graduated high school and graduated college by now, or by this time. 2 major milestones in people's lives. Unfortunately, that time was taken away. Not that he cannot get it back. However, it's going to be a struggle to some degree moving forward, because once he comes home, he's going to still have to face the reality of other people may not be as forgiving and as accepting as you are.
Right.
They're not going to be as receiving of him being, even him saying, if he says that I am a changed person, there's still going to be those challenges that he's going to face. Do you feel that, okay, one, has he ever tried to contact you?
He's contacted me once.
Okay.
He wrote a letter of apology.
Okay.
The second year
Okay.
of him being locked away. However, I was told by the prison that was mandatory. So was it from the heart? I don't know, because I know that he was made to do that.
And so no other communication since
No
that
other
letter.
communication.
When he gets out, if he tries to reach out to you, have you prayed about this or asked God to help you make a decision? If it came to that, how to handle it?
Yes, I think I would handle it well, and because of where I am with Christ now, I know I'll handle it well.
Okay.
I hope he reaches out to me, because to be honest, there's still the part of I don't know.
Okay.
I would love to hear his side of the story, because he was not allowed to testify.
Was it simply because they were juveniles?
No, well, because they pled out.
Oh, okay.
So there was they didn't have to be put on stand.
So during that process, did that make you feel even more anger, or feel something more because they chose not to speak out about what actually happened?
Yes. You're reading me.
Well.
Yes, it did, because I felt like he went in a boy. He did.
Okay.
He's coming out a man. But at that moment, I felt like you were man enough to pull the trigger, but yet you're not man enough to look me in my face and tell me why and what happened. And I even wrote a letter back asking, saying I would love to hear. I still don't know. There's 3 sides to every story. I'll never know Cortez's side because he's gone. I don't know their side because they've never shared it with me. All I know is the side of the story by the bystanders that were around and the investigators and all of that. That's the story I have. So I even wrote back to both of the young men saying, share with me, tell me what happened. What happened and what led to this in your eyes? And I never received a response.
Right. All right. So we're going to move forward and try to lighten up the mood just a little. And I love that you're sharing this, because I am sure there are some parents out there, some families who have felt the exact same thing, who are dealing with the exact same thing. I can't grasp it because I haven't experienced that. I know a pain of losing someone, but not someone that you gave birth to.
Yes.
So that's a different kind of pain. Yes. And now that you have found your strength, you're on the other side of that to some degree. You are putting your talents and your gifts to great work. Yes. With the help of God, your faith in God, and you created Arky's World, and you are giving back to the community, and you also in the process have started some scholarships.
Yes.
So tell us more about what the scholarships and how
absolutely.
how someone can apply.
Good things. This year, when I first started Arky's World and I wrote out my business plan, the scholarship was part of it. I went to do a scholarship in honor of Cortez. But like I said, there's a wall, there's a staircase to climb to get there. So this year, I'm proud to announce that we are finally in the works of we will be. We're collecting funds. We're doing fundraisers and collecting funds for the Arky Scholarship, and we will be awarding that scholarship in 2020. So right now we're building the funds. It's our hope, myself as well as my other board members, to be able to award that scholarship to more than one recipient. And that scholarship will go to someone who is pursuing a career in music of the arts or production. Which is something that, Cortez went to school for. If you're going to school for dance or, anything in that nature, in the musical field, reach out. The application is right now on the website.
Okay.
So you can already start filling those out, filling out that application form and getting that in. We will not, like I said, reward it this year, but it will be 2020. So I'm really, really happy because that's part of the good side of Cortez that not a lot of people knew about. They knew that they did not broadcast, that they did not showcase when they talked about, who he was. They talked about, like I said, him rapping. They put pictures out of him, smoking weed, and they put pictures out of him with the gun. But they never put pictures of him out in college. Mm-hmm. And so I want people to know that he was also, he was a very humble child, and he did have a good sound raising, and he was going to school. He was trying to pursue a career of higher learning. And so that's why we started the Arky's World Scholarship. This past weekend we had we had a Splash of Love gala at the St. Bernard's.
I saw some pictures of that.
Yes, and it was very successful, and to bring a knowledge about the scholarship fund and have funds raised for that. Okay. So right now there's T-shirts, that have been created. If you go on my Facebook page, you can see those, and that goes towards the scholarship as well. Okay. Donations towards the scholarship.
All right, and when we get done, there's someone that I want to connect you with that just started a nonprofit to help raise awareness for music production, scholarships, and different things. So I'll get you that information afterwards. But I want you all to please consider supporting this organization. It's nonprofit, and like she said, the funds go back into the organization to help fund the scholarship, to help fund awareness information, whatever else you may need as you're traveling and passing out to children and families. Like you said, you provide a plaque, a candle, and other items for the grieving family. So when you're supporting Miss Pamela and Arky's World, you're supporting the overall mission and purpose of the foundation. So
yes, we also I didn't mean to cut you off. We also because no one plans to bury a child. So I do like to talk about, the life insurance part of it. When I do come in contact with people, I mention that because had I not had that life insurance on my son, I don't know how I would have been able to funeralize him. So, but no one plans that. Even though I had it, I wasn't planning to have to use it. So we also like to help support if the family is needing an outfit to bury their child in, or they're needing help with the tombstone. What those funds will go for any of those needs that family would need at that time, because you don't plan to bury your child. Right. And so a lot of times we don't put back for that. We don't it's not we don't even consider it. You don't even think about it. Even now I have 3 other children, and sometimes I have to bring myself back that at any day I may have to relive that, whether it be through an illness or whether it be through an act of violence. And so I have to bring myself back to never take life for granted, never take their lives for granted, and to always be prepared for the unknown and what we do not want to face.
Before we go to break, and we'll touch on this a little more after, did you have any of your other children at the time that you lost Cortez?
Yes, I had all of my children.
Okay. So not only were you going through this process, they were going through it as well. They lost a brother.
Yes.
And then they're watching their mother, go through this grieving process. So tell us what it was like. We have like 2.5 minutes in this segment.
Okay.
But as much as you can tell us, what was it like for you as a family going through that process and watching your children grieve as well?
My oldest son, Cortez was my oldest. My next to the oldest son at the time was 14, going on 15. His name is Dre Kari. He's here in Jonesboro with us as well. And he went to the hospital with me. Again, not expecting, knowing, he heard his brother had been shot. He's like, Mom, I want to go with you. And they're very, very close. Okay. And at that moment, to see the hurt that he went through was devastating as well. And then he also tried to comfort me. And then he went through a period of silence. I don't think he said one word for probably 2, almost 3 months. Not one. He would nod his head, he would shake his head if you ask him a question, but he was silent. It was almost scary. And then his silence, because I found how to cope with my grief. I didn't realize at the time that my children couldn't cope the same way I did. His silence turned into anger and his temper, so we're still dealing with that with him. My youngest 2 weren't as old during the time, but they still remember, and they still have their moments where, of course we all do, where they would have their sad moments and would break down. But it's more my oldest son, who's my oldest now, that I kind of watch more, because he's still not dealing with it well. He's still not, and we've gotten him some counseling and some other things, and so keep him in your prayers.
How old is he now?
He is now 19.
Okay.
He is now 19. He'll be 20 in April. And he's gotten us so much better. But like I said before, he was just mad. He would say, Mom, I'm just mad and I don't know why.
We're definitely going to keep him in our prayers, and pray the other children also work their way through the process. We're going to have to put a pause right there and take another quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up our discussion and share some contact information so that you can get in touch with Miss Pamela and support Arky's World. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. A key component of building wealth is becoming an educated and engaged investor. Whether you're ready to build a portfolio of individual stocks or you just want to be more involved with managing your 401k retirement savings, here's what you need to keep in mind. Know your tolerance for risk. Be aggressive enough to achieve decent earnings, but not so aggressive that you get stressed out by every dip in the stock market. Start and stay diversified, with no more than 5% of your portfolio in any one company, even if that company is the one you work for. Finally, don't try to time the market. Stick to your investment approach without regard to the ups and downs of the stock market. Even when working with a financial advisor, which I recommend, be committed to educating yourself about investing by reading articles in Black Enterprise and other financial media, as well as books on investing. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
The Office of Diversity and Community Engagement at Arkansas State University, under the leadership of Dr. Maurice Gibson, is a proud supporter of KLEK and is dedicated to finding innovative ways to advance their mission of creating a diverse and inclusive environment, conducive to educating, enhancing, and enriching lives, uplifting various and diverse groups on the A-State campus, and striving to maintain Arkansas State University a place that is inclusive to all individuals, regardless of origin, color, religion, socioeconomic status, or sexual orientation. More information about the Arkansas State University Office of Diversity and Community Engagement is available at www.astate.edu/diversity and 870-972-3081.
Edgy Studios, 209 Union Street in Jonesboro, offers photography for portraits, weddings, and engagements, senior portraits, family and maternity shoots, and all occasions. Edgy Studios focuses on photography that is unique and outside of the norm. Owner Andrew Daly is available at 870-243-0308 or www.ejjistudios.com.
The key to making this station even better could be parked in your driveway right now. Donate your old car to us, you'll get a tax deduction, and we'll tow it away for free.
Go to klekfm.org for more information.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Welcome back to our last segment, and we're speaking with Mrs. Pamela Smith, the CEO and founder of Arky's World. Ms. Pamela, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I am so honored to meet you. I respect your story, and I just thank you so much for being so open and candid. I know there's some parents that have gone through or going through what you have dealt with, and I really pray that spirits are healed, hearts are mended as much as possible, and they find comfort and solace in your story and knowing that there is life after the loss of someone, and they too can use that their child's name to build a legacy of positivity.
Absolutely.
right in their own community. I'm one of those people that I believe in advocacy of any kind, and I just believe that if one person does one thing, it can create a domino effect of change. So if we all just do our one little part in our own little corner of the world, we can spark about a change that is just immeasurable. It's just amazing. So
absolutely.
So I would love for you to please share your contact information so people would love to know more about the organization, how to get in touch with you, and even invite you to speak or host an event.
Absolutely. Let me add this, that to you out there that are listening and that know someone that has lost a child or anyone to violence or any type of death, know that we want to talk about our child. We don't want, I know it's hard, sometimes people tiptoe around and they don't know how to approach you, but we want to talk about it. We want for them to be remembered. We want to know that you remember who our child is and that you haven't forgotten them. We want you to understand that during holidays and certain times of the year that we're not okay, and it's not that we may be crying and down and out, but we just want someone to say, hey, I remember. I know that it's Christmas, and I understand that a piece of your puzzle is missing. So don't be afraid. I'm always better when I'm talking about it. It's when I'm alone, when I'm not. Okay. It's when I'm alone and the memories and everything come back when I'm not. So, but however, you may get in contact with me. If you want to know more information about Arky's World Foundation, you can visit our website at www.arkysworld.org. If you want to, even the product, 30% of the proceeds of the products goes to the foundation. www.arkyspokensense.com. You can visit that website as well, and both websites will link to the other. You can go from one to the other and navigate through there. You may also reach me on my cell phone. My cell phone is open, 870-761-4075. I'm not one that's don't get my number out or this. I may not answer, but you can text me. I'm available. I'm available for speaking events. I am also an evangelist. I'm available for prayer. So anything that you need, please, if you know someone, send me a email. Send me my email is myarky95@gmail.com. You can contact me on Facebook, Instagram. We have Arky's World Facebook page. My personal Facebook page is Pamela Smith. You can contact me on any of those avenues. My Instagram is, I think it's Angel Eyes. Okay. I'm not on Instagram as much, but I believe it's Pam's Angel Eyes. But however, you may get in touch with me in any of those, or any of my staff, any of my team members. If you know any of them, you can reach out to them as well. Go onto arkysworld.org and you can see the entire team on there. Their pictures are on there. You may not be comfortable speaking with me. You can speak with one of them and they will lead you into the right direction.
All right. So for those of you that are watching our Facebook Live feed, I just put a bunch of information there, and I pinned the website for Arky's World to the top of the feed, so you can find that. So please consider, checking out what she has to offer, making contact with her, or sending someone her way that could utilize her services. Or if you would like to become an advocate and raise awareness for gun violence or for grief, please reach out to Ms. Pamela.
Yes, please.
I would love to see more people contact you because gun violence is becoming an epidemic. Well, I say becoming. And this, again, from my perspective, so please no one come for me if I'm wrong, but this is just from my personal perspective. Some things are getting out of hand. And guns are getting in the hands of the wrong people. They're becoming too easily to be accessed. The private sales, gun shows, and the dark web, various ways, or just on the streets. And so, again, if one person does one thing, we can make a mighty change. We can make change happen.
Absolutely. We don't. The value of life has diminished. People don't value life, but keep in mind that one day it may be you that has to pick out a casket, has to be comforted. One day it may be you. One day it may be your child or your loved one, your friend. So life is, and we do not have the authority to give and take away life. It's not in your hands. So that's why there are people and places to handle different situations, and that being the authorities, that being the police. Who cares that you may be called a snitch or you may be talked about? You saved a life.
That's right.
So we have to get back to valuing life and what life is and what life can be.
Yes, ma'am.
Rather than taking it away.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so very much for giving us your time, and I really hope that someone has walked away with some valuable information, and that we work harder to take back our community, take back control of our lives and just our peace and our sanity and everything in between. Yes. You mentioned earlier about, crimes that were committed in Blytheville, Osceola area. I saw in the news that the police departments are now rolling out a task force to try to combat some of that. In West Helena, there's been a rise in, I don't know about a rise, but rise in awareness of the violence there. And so that police force is taking measures with the state police to, again, try to combat crime.
Yes.
We as citizens that live in these different areas need to also join forces, like you said, with the law enforcement and whatever other entities that are trying to make our community safer. You pay taxes somewhere. You deserve to be safe.
Yeah, and not just, what angers me is that we raise these awareness, we do these marches. When it happens, it becomes, and then it dies away. Why do we let it die?
Yes.
We have to continue educating our youth, continue educating our adults, and continue raising the awareness. It is a year-long process. It's not 1 week or 2 weeks when you hear about little Jimmy Jojo got shot. It's you don't just, hey, let's go out in March. In the summer, let's go out in March because there's been 3 shootings. No. This is something that has to be ongoing in order for us to combat it before it happens.
I mean, that's when the work really begins.
That's right.
Past that point. So, yes, I want to thank you again. Yes. Thank you, everyone out there listening, supporting KLEK 102.5 FM. Check out the information listed in the Facebook Live feed. This video will be posted on YouTube a little later. I hope that this is not our last time seeing each other. We definitely want to see you again about the community and hear sharing more information, especially as it gets closer to the time of your scholarships to be awarded.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope everyone has a great and blessed day, and try to stay warm and dry. We don't know what this weather's going to do today.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed